My wife sent me a text message that said, "I want a divorce. Direct all communication through my lawyer." I replied with one word. Understood. Right after that, I cancelled her credit cards and cut off all her financial support. 72 hours later, her lawyer was calling me in a panic. Here is the original story. I am 45 years old. I am still processing everything, but mostly I am just operating on autopilot. It feels strangely calm. 3 days ago, on a Tuesday afternoon, I was deep into my work spreadsheets when my phone buzzed. It was my wife, Sarah, who is 41. The text message was short and brutal. It read, "Sarah here. Hank, I want a divorce. Please direct all future communication through my lawyer, Mr. Jenkins. His contact details will follow." 18 years of marriage were ended via a text message. There was no warning. We had eaten dinner together the night before. We had talked about our plans for the weekend. It was normal. Nothing suggested this was coming. I stared at the phone for maybe 5 minutes. Shock, hurt, and anger were all there, simmering below the surface. But on the surface level, there was a cold clarity. She set the terms. She wanted lawyers only. Okay. My reply was simple. Understood. Then, practicality took over. Going through legal channels meant our informal marriage arrangements were instantly void. We always kept our main finances separate for day-to-day things. I learned that lesson from the messy split my parents went through. She had her personal account, and I had mine. Then there were the credit cards. Sarah had supplementary cards on my accounts. She did not have joint ownership, she just had authorized user status. I logged into my banking applications. I clicked on the cards and cancelled them. I reported the user as no longer authorized. Done. Next was her allowance. I used to transfer a monthly sum to her personal account for her own discretionary spending. I logged into my bank and cancelled the recurring transfer, effective immediately. Then came the shared subscriptions. Netflix, Amazon Prime, and others were all under my name. I logged out of all other devices and changed the passwords. If she wants streaming, she can buy it herself. The car she drives is leased in my name, and it is on my insurance. I did not cancel the insurance immediately. That is too risky for everyone on the road. However, I made a note to discuss the lease transfer with my lawyer as soon as possible. The gas card was tied to a credit card I had just cancelled, so it was useless now. The whole thing took maybe 30 minutes. It was not revenge. It was just me accepting the new reality she had dictated. She drew the line. Lawyers only. Fine. Lawyers work on formal agreements, not assumptions based on a marriage she just ended. Her lawyer's contact details arrived via email an hour later. I forwarded them straight to Mrs. Davis, a top divorce attorney a colleague had recommended to me. I emailed Mrs. Davis. I told her I received a text demanding divorce and that I complied. I told her I needed immediate counsel on the next steps and asset protection. I asked her to advise me on the retainer fee. I finished my work project and went home. The house was empty. She must have packed while I was out. Surprisingly, I slept okay. Fast forward 72 hours. It was Friday afternoon. An unknown number rang my phone. I had a feeling I knew who it was. Hello. Is this Hank? A sharp, impatient voice asked. Speaking, I said. This is Mr. Jenkins. I represent Sarah. My client is experiencing some difficulties. Okay, I said, keeping my voice level. Her cards were declined, he said. Her funds were cut off abruptly. This is highly irregular, Mr. Hank. The financial status quo is generally maintained during a separation. Mr. Jenkins, I said calmly. My wife texted me on Tuesday demanding a divorce and stating that all communication must go through you. I acknowledged that and complied. The informal financial arrangement ceased. Future support needs a formal legal discussion through you and my counsel, Mrs. Davis, whom I am retaining. There was a pause and the sound of paper shuffling. She needs funds now, he said. For necessities. For accommodation. Accommodation? I asked with genuine surprise. Where is she? That is not pertinent, he replied. You acted in bad faith. You cut her off without warning. Mr. Jenkins, I said, my voice getting cooler. My wife unilaterally ended our marriage via text and set the lawyers only rule. She ended the status quo of trust and communication. Financial support will be determined legally, not by frantic calls over declined cards that she was not the primary holder of. There was a longer pause. My client seeks emergency financial relief, he said stiffly. That is her prerogative, I replied. Direct all filings to my attorney, Mrs. Davis. You have her details? Yes, he clipped out. Excellent. This conversation is concluded per my wife's directive. Good day. I hung up. My heart was pounding now. The adrenaline was kicking in. But I also felt validation. She wanted cold and legal. She is getting it. Exactly that. I am waiting for Mrs. Davis to call. This is just the start. Update number 1 week later. It has been a week since the text message arrived. Things heated up as expected. Thanks for the comments and direct messages. It is good to know I am not nuts. Mrs. Davis got back to me the same day Mr. Jenkins called. She is good. She confirmed my actions were logical given Sarah's text message. She advised me to document everything. Mr. Jenkins made his first move on Monday. It was a formal request for emergency temporary spousal support plus exclusive use of the marital home, which she had already left. The amount of money they asked for was basically astronomical. She wanted me to fund her old lifestyle, plus pay for her new housing, plus cover her legal fees. The level of entitlement was expert tier. Mrs. Davis responded immediately. She countered with a much lower figure for temporary support based on actual needs, not wants. She noted that Sarah had left the home that I still occupy. She highlighted the rule about communicating only through lawyers and pointed out that my actions were a direct consequence of that rule. Then the personal attacks began. Sarah's best friend, Brenda, called me on Wednesday night. I answered the phone, hoping to get some intelligence on the situation. That was a mistake. What the actual hell? Brenda shouted. No. Hello. Brenda, I said tiredly. Don't Brenda me, she snapped. Sarah is sleeping on my couch. You cut her off completely. She could not even buy groceries. You are making her homeless. Brenda, I said. Sarah demanded a divorce via a text message. She said lawyers only. I respected her wishes. You know she barely works, Brenda argued. How can she live? She is terrified. Sarah's part-time graphic design gig nets her one couch a month, I said. That was mostly fun money. She should have thought about that before she hired a lawyer and before she refused to talk to me. She was emotional, Brenda said. She made a mistake instructing lawyers only. Hiring Mr. Jenkins is a specific mistake, I replied. I said all financials go through him and my lawyer now. The process she chose is cruel and vindictive after 18 years. There was silence on the line. Then she spoke again. She deserves support. You always took care of her. And I would have discussed things amicably if she had not nuked the marriage via text and lawyered up, I told her. She set the rules. We follow them now. She will take you for everything, Brenda spat out. She can try, I said calmly. Everything is filed legally. My attorney handles it. I am not discussing this further. Goodbye. I clicked the phone off. So, I am the bad guy for following instructions. The narrative she is spinning is pure victimhood. I also got a bank alert yesterday. There was an attempted withdrawal from an old savings account. It turns out there was one joint account we had opened ages ago and completely forgotten about. It was not part of our active finances. It only had about $500 left in it. Sarah apparently found the debit card and tried to drain it. The bank flagged the sudden activity on the dormant account. I went straight to the bank, explained the pending divorce, and froze the account pending a legal agreement. It is not about the money, it is about the attempt. While her lawyer screams bad faith at me, Mrs. Davis says this actually helps us. It shows Sarah is not just passively waiting, but she is actively trying to use back channels outside the process she demanded. I am waiting for the emergency support hearing court date. Sarah is still couch surfing at Brenda's place. Mr. Jenkins must be realizing his client expected a blank check, not reality. I am feeling less shock now and more grim determination. This is going to suck. Update number 2 3 weeks later. Okay, it got dirtier. Shocking, I know. We had the emergency support hearing last week. Sarah was there looking stressed and avoiding my gaze. Mr. Jenkins argued that she was destitute and victimized by my malicious actions. Mrs. Davis calmly presented the text message. Sarah initiated the lawyer's only protocol. The bank statements showed I canceled the supplementary cards and the allowance tied to my accounts only after the text. We showed proof that I still paid the mortgage, utilities, lease, insurance, and major fixed costs. Then we presented the evidence. Her attempt to drain the dormant, forgotten joint account after demanding lawyers. Her income statements showed her part-time earnings, which proved she was not destitute, just missing her discretionary funds. The judge was not buying the drama from Mr. Jenkins. He asked Sarah why there was no prior discussion. She mumbled something about being intimidated. I am not intimidating. The judge seemed skeptical. The result was that temporary support was ordered. However, the amount was way closer to our figure than theirs. It is enough for basics and a contribution to legal fees, but there is zero funding for her old lifestyle. The judge basically told Sarah that her own actions, specifically the text and the account drain attempt, contributed to her current situation. I felt like I dodged a bullet, but they were not done. This week, the real game started. Dirty trick number 1. I received a call from my Human Resources department. There was an anonymous complaint. It alleged misuse of company resources for personal legal stuff. It was false. It also accused me of using personal devices on the secure network and erratic behavior suggesting instability. Thankfully, my boss knows me. The complaint was vague. Human Resources checked the logs and found nothing. They had a quick chat with me. I calmly explained the basics of my situation. They dismissed it. It was a clear attempt to mess with my job. That is low. Mrs. Davis noted it. It is tough to prove an anonymous source, but it adds to the pattern. Dirty trick number 2. Sarah's mother called me. She was in tears. She threw accusations at me. How could you? She asked. She is struggling. The judge was unfair. Give her more money. Think of the years she gave you, her mother said. I gave her the same response as before. Sarah chose this path. The lawyers handle the financials now, just as she requested. I cannot discuss this. She called me heartless. I hung up the phone. The emotional manipulation was relentless. They really thought I would just keep paying for everything forever. My response was to stick to logic while under fire. Their tactics just clarified the situation for me. Simply reacting was not enough. I needed to proactively secure my position legally and shut down these avenues for manipulation strictly by the book. Next was the issue of the car. Mrs. Davis sent Mr. Jenkins a letter. Since temporary support was established, Sarah needs to handle the car. She can take over the lease if she qualifies, or she can return it. I stopped making the payments on the next billing cycle. The insurance cover, which I had maintained, would cease concurrently in 30 days. It was her problem to solve within the legal framework. Then there was the house. I filed for formal exclusive use since she had left, and the judge did not grant possession to her. I started the valuation process for a sale buyout. A buyout from her side was unlikely given her finances. I was establishing clear legal control. Regarding asset division, I pushed for immediate full financial discovery. I suspected there were hidden assets on her side. It was time for transparency. It is legally mandated. I also documented the harassment. I logged every single manipulative phone call. I documented the work complaint, including the dates, times, and a summary. Mrs. Davis says a pattern of bad faith tactics influences the final settlement and legal fees. It is not about revenge. It is about methodically managing the situation within the legal boundaries she established, especially now that they were resorting to underhanded tactics. The work complaint crossed a line, making firm, decisive legal steps essential. Sarah texted me directly yesterday, breaking her own rule. "Hank, you cannot take the car. How will I get anywhere? Plus, stop this." I took a screenshot of the message. I sent it to Mrs. Davis. Then I replied to Sarah. "Sarah, per your instructions on that Tuesday, all communication must go via the lawyers. Please contact Mr. Jenkins." Silence followed. Final update 6 months later. It has been about 7 months since the text message arrived. The divorce was finalized last month. It feels like ages ago. It is time for the final update. The last 6 months were like trench warfare in the legal system. Mr. Jenkins delayed things. Sarah played the victim. She rejected reasonable offers. The car was a major fight. She could not qualify for the lease takeover, but she refused to return it. Mr. Jenkins argued it was a necessity. Mrs. Davis countered that the temporary support covers basic transport. The deadline passed. I informed the leasing company I was not paying, and that she was not an authorized driver. The car was repossessed from the street right outside Brenda's place. There were frantic calls from Brenda and Sarah's mother. I ignored them. I forwarded the information to Mrs. Davis. Sarah was furious, but she was legally cornered by the consequences of her inaction. For the house, I got the exclusive use order. I sold it relatively fast. The equity was held in an escrow account pending the division of assets. Sarah fought for more, claiming she was at an economic disadvantage. Then came the financial discovery. This was the kicker. We pushed hard. Sarah had to disclose everything. It turns out she had a separate savings account, contributions from her parents over the years, and some inherited stocks she forgot about. It was not a huge amount, but it was more than the $500 in the dormant joint account. Mr. Jenkins argued that this was separate property. Mrs. Davis proved there was commingling of funds and that marital funds enabled her to keep those assets untouched. Regarding the anonymous complaint at my job, there was no direct proof, but the judge noted the timing and nature of it in the final proceedings. We did not win damages, but it added to the picture of bad faith. We reached the final settlement just before a contested trial. The judge signaled impatience with Sarah's tactics in the pretrial talks. Facing a worse outcome plus potentially paying my legal fees, Sarah agreed to settle. The assets, specifically the house equity, were split nearly 50-50. There was a slight edge to me due to her hidden assets being factored in. The stocks were divided as marital property. She kept her small personal savings. Spousal support was time-limited to 2 years. It is rehabilitative alimony, and it is significantly less than what she demanded. It is enough to help her transition, not to fund her old lifestyle. It is contingent on her efforts to become self-supporting. As for legal fees, each of us paid our own. That is a win. I avoided fighting for her to pay mine. Now for the aftermath. I heard indirectly that Sarah is in a small apartment and working more. She is complaining about money. Brenda distanced herself after Sarah became a burden. Her parents are likely still helping her. Is there any remorse or apology? Zero. She still seems baffled. I did not just fund her life after the detonation of our marriage. The entitlement runs deep. She genuinely felt she was owed her lifestyle regardless of her actions. It was a rough 7 months. It was expensive and stressful. But I am good. I am better, actually. The piece from closing that chapter is huge. I kept my job and my integrity. I got a fair asset share. I learned I can handle a crisis strategically. I am hitting the gym and seeing friends that Sarah disliked. I am enjoying my quiet house. There was no Hollywood revenge, just steady grinding through the consequences of her choices while meeting her with logical legal resistance. She wanted formal and legal. She got it. She got it with all the cold financial reality that comes with it. That is satisfaction enough. Thanks for the space to vent. It helped immensely. It is time to move forward.